Hi, I'm Peter Merrilees, the Medical Business Manager at Point of Care Diagnostics, and this is a training video to introduce you to the Afinion Point of Care system, and in this case, the HbA1c test in particular. The first thing we want to run through are the ports on the back of the analyzer. We have the plug for the power supply at the bottom, above that a connection to allow connectivity to PC, and at the top two USB ports, one of which is used for the custom My Printer, and the second one can be used for a barcode scanner or for software upgrades as necessary. Once the Afinion analyzer is connected to the power, use your power button on top to turn it on. The analyzer goes through a startup process, takes approximately 2 minutes, and this is where it runs all its mechanical and electronic self-test to ensure that the system is operating properly. You'll see a progress bar appear on the screen that takes you through the startup progress, and then the analyzer will be ready to operate. Once the analyzer is started, you can see the main screen displayed here. At the top, in the left-hand corner, we see the software version that the analyzer is running. Down in the middle, we've got the ambient temperature, so that you know that you're within the operating temperature range for the Afinion. The big red icon, the largest icon, is your patient test icon. You press this icon to open the cartridge chamber door. You always use the touch screen to open the door, never open the door manually. You manually close the door. The next icon down, blue icon, is your control test icon, and it works the same way the patient test icon does. And down the very bottom is your main menu icon. We'll press that now. Okay, at the very top, the little green man is your operator ID. That allows you to track who's performing the test. Below there, you've got your patient test result memory. There are 500 results capable of being stored there. Control test icon. That's your memory for control test below there, another 500 tests. And last of all, we have here your settings menu. In your settings menu, you've got your locality guide. This is where you set your language and your measuring units. You've got a patient ID icon. You can either have the patient ID function turned on or off. You've got date and time settings, and then you've got screen alignment, contrast, and beep, turning that on or off. That's the extent of the menu on the Afinion analyzer, so it's fairly straightforward and easy to use. And you've got your back icon to return us to where we started. Before we move on to talking about the test cartridges, I just wanted to run through the operating and storage conditions for the Afinion analyzer. The Afinion should always be stored in an upright position, never lay it on its side or store it upside down. And the operating temperature range for the Afinion is between 18 and 30 degrees Celsius, so always check your screen to ensure it's within that range before starting a test. The Afinion HbA1c test cartridges come in a pack of 15 tests. They include a product insert, which has all the information on the test cartridge in it. And each of the test cartridges has a tear strip on the side to make it easy to open. Once you've torn that off, always hold the cartridge by the handle, as I am. You have a barcode on the cartridge, which the analyzer will read during the test process. That tells it what lot number it is and has all the measuring characteristics programmed in. And then the clear plastic part of the cartridge are the parts that are read optically. This is where the reactions occur, and it's read visually, so you must ensure that you never touch that part of the cartridge and smear it with fingerprints. The capillary device is built into the top of the cartridge and is removed by pulling upwards, and you fill the capillary by holding it against the finger, as we're about to do in the patient test. When it's time to run a patient test on the Afinion, what I suggest is that you first lay out all the materials you're going to require for the test. You'll need a pair of protective gloves, an alcohol swab to clean the finger with. This is not for infection control, it's to clean the finger to make sure there's nothing left on there that will interfere with the test results. You'll need a swab to dry the alcohol off the finger and also to wipe away the first drop of blood, because we don't use that first drop. You'll need a single-use auto lancet to perform the finger stick with. And of course, we'll need our HbA1c test cartridge. And last of all, the disposal for the contaminated waste at the end of the test. And now we're going to perform a patient test on Julian, who's kindly volunteered. First of all, we start by donning our gloves. What I suggest is when you take the cartridge out of the pouch, The first thing you do is loosen off the capillary so it sits in there nice and loosely. That way, once you've collected the sample, it's easy to pull that up one-handed. When it comes to doing the patient test, I'm going to do Julian's left hand today because I know he's right-handed. Doing the non-dominant hand means there's less chance he'll use that afterwards. What we want is to use one of the middle two fingers, good blood flow without being too sensitive. You want to try and avoid fingers with rings on them because rings can break up the blood cells, impinge the blood flow. So we've selected this finger. Now what we want to do is make sure that we come right out near the tip of the finger and off centre. So I'm going to swab that area, clean it thoroughly to make sure there are no hand lotions, soaps or residue from food left there, and then wipe away the excess alcohol. Alcohol does evaporate, but rather than trying to work out how long that takes, dry it off. The lancets are very simple to use. It has a trigger on the side. All you need to do is twist the protective cap and it will break off, and the lancet is pre-cocked, ready to fire. Hold the lancet firmly against the finger where you want to perform the finger stick and fire off the trigger. Give the finger a light squeeze and wipe away that first drop of blood. The initial blood has a higher proportion of clotting factors in there, and we don't want to be collecting those. When you hold the capillary, you hold it either parallel to the floor, that's for you, or slightly uphill, just never on a downhill angle when you're filling it because that could pull air into the capillary. Replace the capillary into the cartridge. Remember to always dispose of your used items into the correct disposal bin to ensure there's no risk of contamination down the track. And then we can insert the test cartridge. Press your test icon on the screen. As the screen tells you, insert the cartridge. It can only sit in there one way. Remember, you're holding it by the handle. The cartridge sits in there quite naturally. The screen changes to close lid. And there's the test started. If you have your patient ID function turned on, then at any stage during the test process itself, you can enter that ID in. Press your patient ID icon below the progress bar. And then it's an alphanumeric code up to 16 characters. At the moment we can see the numeric keypad. We can press the icon down the bottom and change it to the alphabetic keypad. And in this case I'll put in Julian. So J-U-L-I-A-N. If I made a mistake at any stage, I can use the delete key to move back a space. But if it's all correct, I press enter. And now we can see his ID up on the top left-hand corner of the screen. We just need to wait for the test to complete. At the end of the test, the results will appear on the screen. We can see the HbA1c both in millimole per mole and in percentage HbA1c. You can press either the tick icon to accept the results, or you can press the print icon if we've got the printer connected. That will then print out the results and eject the cartridge. And that is the end of the patient test. That's the whole process complete. Very simple, whether it's the first test of the day or the first test of a new box, it's always the same way. As part of the care and maintenance of the Afinion analyzer, it's important that you run quality control tests to ensure that the analyzer is measuring accurately and reliably. Here we have an HbA1c quality control kit. The quality control kit consists of an assay sheet. The assay sheet unfolds to show the ranges that the control results need to fall within, and 2 vials of control liquids, C1 and C2, low and high control fluids. So these fluids are basically blood substitutes. We put this into the test cartridge instead of a patient sample. At the end of the test we see a result that needs to fall within the range shown on the assay sheet. In order to run a quality control test, you're going to need a test cartridge. You'll need at least one of the vials of control liquids, and you need the assay sheet that the control liquids came with. The first thing you need to do is ensure that the fluid within the vial is mixed thoroughly. The vials are stored in an upright position. When you turn them up and look at the base of the vial, you'll notice there's a sediment build-up. You need to give that bottle a bit of a swirl and a shake to make sure that sediment is completely mixed through. Once you've noticed that there is no longer any sediment on the bottom of the vial, then invert the vial 5 to 6 times to ensure it's mixed through the lid as well. Once you've done that, then we're ready to collect the sample. We take the lid off the vial and turn it upright on the bench. Once you've taken the lid off the vial, grab your capillary out of the cartridge, and I suggest you collect the fluid out of the lid of the control liquid. There's a little well in the centre that holds it quite well, very easy to collect from. Trying to collect from the neck of the vial can be quite awkward at times. Replace the capillary into the cartridge. Press your control test icon this time, the blue icon, and insert the cartridge as directed by the screen and close your lid to begin the test. Once the test is started, whether your patient ID function is turned on or turned off, you need to enter a control ID number anyway. Now what we suggest you do is, in this case, we used control 2. So on the assay sheet, look for the lot number for control 2. It's specific to that level. Control 1 has a different lot number. So control 2 lot number, we press our ID function icon and enter in 1014791. Excellent. Now wait for the end of the test and compare the result to the range displayed on the assay sheet. Okay, that's the end of the training video for today. For any further advice, you can always contact Point of Care Diagnostics or myself directly. And included in your kit, we also provide this test poster, which is an easy cheat sheet to remind you of each of the steps in the process of running a patient or control test. Thanks for your attention.